Hello, church. Here we are in chapter 25 and chapter 45 and 46 of Jeremiah. It's a privilege to be with you again today. Let's just jump right in here. Chapter 25, I don't want us to miss that Jeremiah is clearly proclaiming to the people, you're going to be in captivity for 70 years. Okay, don't miss that. We're going to come back to that in future days, but just don't miss the fact that we are, in fact, not going home tomorrow. You're going to be here for 70 years. All right? Then I want us to see in verse 3 and then verses 4 to 7, I want to talk about the patience and perseverance that is on display here, both by Jeremiah as well as the Lord. In verse 3, we can see that Jeremiah has prophesied for 23 years with no success. Church, can you imagine being told by the Lord to do something for 23 years and you have faithfully obeyed, and yet it doesn't feel like you have had anything productive in all of that time? That is a hard place to be. But then in verses 4 to 7, the Lord declares that he has actually put on even a greater display of patience and perseverance, because for generations he has sent prophets to the people of Israel, and they have not listened to them either. Church, do you ever get confused by where patience comes from? I think it's important for us to talk about this. Sometimes I think we can assume, well, patience is something that over time God develops in our character, and it's only something that's related to a process that's God doing inside. And while that is absolutely true, we see that when we talk about discipleship or spiritual maturity, I don't want us to miss the fact that it actually will probably never be completely natural either. Because what we got to see in Galatians chapter 5 is that patience and faithfulness are fruits of the Spirit. That is to say that they are not actually going to be entirely parts of our character, parts of our maturity. They are actually supernatural displays of the presence of the Lord in our lives through his presence. And I don't want us to miss that, because sometimes we can feel like, well, I guess I don't have enough patience yet. I lost it at work yesterday. And while that's true, does that have more to do with our character, or more to do with the fact that we're not asking the Lord to fill us every day with his Holy Spirit to produce those things in our lives? And so I want us to ask a very simple question this morning and just simply say, Lord, could you please fill me afresh with your Spirit today? I don't want us to miss that, church, because while I agree God's character can be imparted to us through spiritual maturity and character building, don't miss that it is also part of a supernatural work of his Spirit in our lives to live out the fruit of the Spirit. All right? Then in chapter 45, this is great. I think a lot of us can identify with this fellow named Baruch here, okay? So he is told he's going to be Jeremiah's assistant. And at the start, we might think, man, what an opportunity, eh? This Baruch guy is going to have a successful ministry and things are going to go great for him. But he's really, the rug is really pulled out from under this poor guy in verse 5, where Jeremiah just flat out tells him, should you then seek great things for yourself? Don't seek them. Now, I want to add another element into all of this. So first off, he's told, don't seek great things. But if we look back to chapter 32 and ahead to chapter 51, we will see that Baruch's brother, Seraiah, is going to be called to be a staff officer for King Zedekiah. And I want us to put ourselves in Baruch's shoes here. It's not easy, and some of us can identify with this very well. Some of us have maybe siblings or family members or close friends that are exceptionally successful in the things that God has called them to do. Either they're very financially successful, or they have a position of influence in leadership, or they're very successful in their careers. And we can be tempted to sometimes place our ambitions toward a direction that says, I want to be able to at least not live in the shadow of this sibling or close friend that I have in terms of their success. And what we've got to do, church, is understand what Jesus tells the disciples, what he teaches them about greatness in Luke chapter 22. I don't want us to miss that when the disciples are arguing about who's going to be the greatest, Jesus does not rebuke them for wanting to be great. He simply adjusts how they see greatness. And he reminds them that it is not wrong to be great, but greatness is a desire to serve, in the pattern of Jesus, who did not come to be served, but to serve and give his life as a ransom for many. So church, don't think that God doesn't want us to be great. Rather, allow his Spirit to speak to us and readjust what we see or interpret as greatness. Greatness is serving others. It is not getting to a position where others will serve us. And so we can simply ask the Lord this question today. Father, has my understanding of greatness been incorrect in your eyes? All right? And then in chapter 46, I want us to see this. Very quickly, in verses 3 to 5, God has told the army of Egypt, you're coming to battle and you're going to lose. All right? Now Israel, in verses 27 to 28 of the same chapter, is essentially in the same place. Both the Egyptian army as well as the people of Israel have been told you're going to be losing to the battle against the Babylonians. But the amazing thing is the response. In verses 3 to 5, we can see that the Egyptian army, specifically verse 5, is terrified and retreating, and they are running away because there is terror on every side, and they are afraid. The Israelites, not so. God tells them, yeah, even though you're going to be in this fight and you're going to lose, you do not need to fear because I am with you. Church, in Revelation chapter 13, we can see that there are times where God allows his children to be overcome for sometimes reasons known only to him. But in the place where you and I feel like we sometimes are losing the battle, we can have absolute assurance and confidence that God is with us, that he will never leave us nor forsake us, and that he has overcome the world, so that we may have the peace that's talked about in Philippians chapter 4, verse 7. And that is a peace, church, that the world knows nothing about, because it comes from the person who, in the face of difficulty, and even sometimes in the perceived place where we are being overcome, trusts in the Lord. And so today, church, can I just encourage you to just call out to the Lord if you are in that place and say, Lord, please grant me peace as I face the difficulties in my life today.